Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Take Two Podcast. My name is Brian. I am your host today, and we are celebrating a big day because this is episode 260. And if I do some math, 52 weeks in a year times five is 260. This is our 5-year anniversary, folks. We made it! 5 years of Take Two Podcast. Congratulations to you, the listener, for sticking with us this whole time. Thank you very much. This is our 5-year anniversary show. 260 straight weeks. A Take Two Podcast episode has dropped into your feeds. And we can't thank you enough. I cannot thank you guys enough for joining the show, for listening, for interacting on all of our socials. Really, it has been an evolution, if you will. A lot of ups, downs, and everything in betweens. And we have loved every minute. I truly have, guys. Again, my name is Brian. Take Two Podcast. Happy 5 years to us. For those of you who have been with us from the beginning, thank you. For those who have, ins and outs and came back and forth and are here now, thank you. And for any new listeners that we have just joining us today, welcome to Take Two Podcast. Hollywood news, TV, and movie reviews in our Take Two. We have a whole bunch for you guys today. It's going to be an absolutely loaded show. To our anniversary, going to throw a little history of Take Two, a little TTP history, if you will. Later on in the show, stick around and kind of pull back the curtain a little bit, just have a little bit of fun of how we've gotten to this point, when we started way back October 5 years ago and gotten ourselves to this moment. So, enough of that. Let's move forward, shall we? Today, we have 5 big reviews. We have movies. We've got documentaries. We've got series. We start Halloween time. It's October. And so each and every week, as I told you guys last week, we're going to do at least one scary entity, if you will. I caught up on Midnight Mass, and that would be check that box for the week. So that was the scary entity that we will be talking about a little bit later on. We have Venom. We have the Britney versus Spears documentary, Queenpins, and we will wrap with many Saints of Newark. We have the box office. We have our poll results. We have casting. We have trailer talk. We even have a What's in the Glass today. We have our Hollywood news, DC, Marvel, and going forward, we have it all for you guys. Thank you very much for joining episode 260 Take Two Podcast, our 5-year birthday ep. Like we need the sirens. I need the soundboard. But there's one thing our show never has, a soundboard. Maybe going forward, that could be our 5-year birthday gift to ourselves. To that note, couple of changes. I mentioned last week we're going to be doing some changes, some format changes. Number one, for those of you who love to text or call or leave a voicemail, we have a new number. For those of you who are brand new, we have a phone number. This is new to you. That new hotline, ready, pen, paper in hand, get ready. If you're driving, please don't. We'll just wait, rewind, come back later. 667-365-TAKE. That's 667-365-8253. TAKE. Hey, kids out there. How many of you kids out there didn't know or don't know that letters were associated with numbers on your phone? Like you would put, there's A, B, C, D, E, F for each of the numbers, so you could do some word fun kind of things. As I got this new number, I was like, wow, that's awesome. Wait, I'm old. Because I bet you there's some kids out there that don't even know that letters associate with numbers anymore these days. Anyway, that's my old thing. New hotline, 667-365-TAKE. That's 8253. Because Take Two Podcast has never missed a week, and we're in your ear 365 days out of the year. Oh my God, these just rank themselves. It's fantastic. Guys, I would love a rating and review from you guys. 5-star rating and review would be fantastic. Throw that onto the Apple or Podbean, however you guys listen. We are across the board. You know that because you're listening to us now. Socials, at Take Two Podcast for Twitter. Take Two Podcast at gmail.com to shoot us an email. Facebook, Instagram, follow our pages there. Facebook, don't forget we have the regular Take Two Podcast page. You can jump on there. And then there's the Universe page where I throw some fun things on there, some more interactive stuff between fans and conversations that we get to chat about movies and TV and more, and extra stuff on there. Again, new hotline, 667-365-8253. I'm excited because the new hotline has the take, the 365 take. Like, it's exciting, but some of you kids don't clue what the crap I'm talking about. You guys ready? I'm ready. Oh, by the by, if you have YouTube, we're on there as well. Subscribe today, YouTube. You can see my smiling mug, my beautiful hairstyle, all that comes in between, and you can see my fortress behind me and all that stuff. On top of that, all of our celebrity interviews, all of our filmmaker interviews that we chat with. Not only do we put up every episode of our show on there, but also I throw on all of the interviews that I've done over the years. They're on YouTube as well. You can go back and watch all of those now. And then we have a bunch coming forward. Actually, I just got an email this morning. We got some things lined up. Won't announce them until they definitely happen, but stay tuned on there. The only way you're going to find out is if you subscribe to our YouTube channel today. Okay, you guys ready? I'm ready. Let's get things rocking and rolling if you don't mind, and let's start things off with the box office. Record-breaking week, $90.1 million for Venom, Let There Be Carnage. That breaks Shang-Chi's post-pandemic record. Sorry, Shang-Chi. I kind of hoped you had held on to that record due to my thoughts on your film versus Venom, but we'll get into that in a minute in the Venom review. But $90.1 million. It also had another 13 internationally, so it's 103 worldwide. That is a huge opening. 4,200 theaters. They wanted it to be big. It was big. Congrats to Andy Serkis, Tom Hardy, and everybody involved in that. You made a ton of cash. We're going to see where that goes going forward. There's some big releases next week. We'll talk about that in the going forward, but huge debut. Congrats to Venom. We'll talk in the review about this a little bit more when we get to my actual review of the film. But it is a blockbustery film. This is going to be gross. Hang on a sec. Excuse me. Congrats. Number 2, The Addams Family 2. This is your animated feature film. $18 million, almost on the dot. Again, 4,207 theaters. They put this movie out there everywhere. And it served them well. They made the $18 million. Congrats to them. Number 3, Shang-Chi. It drops to 3. It was in the one seed forever, and now finally dropped down to 3. We expected it to drop to 3rd. That's a no-brainer. But dropping all the way down to 3rd because only $6 million. It does put it over 200 domestically, 206, and then worldwide we're looking at 380 right now for Shang-Chi, which is good. But they're missing a lot of the Asian market dollar that I think, Marvel, Disney, we're kind of expecting to get a lot more there. So to be determined as we go forward, because we haven't gotten the big releases over there yet, which is insane to me because that's a lot of money. But the money that they have gotten is 380 worldwide. Congrats to them. I do see them sticking around in probably the top 5-ish going forward just a couple more weeks, maybe 3,400 theaters. They still kept that thing in. Number 4, the many Saints of Newark. You could have watched this at home. I did. There was very minimal chance, as badly as I wanted to see this movie, very high on my most anticipated list. It's just, it was available at home. So, some films are just like, I got to see that on the big screen. This didn't scream to me, see on big screen. I could watch it on my television set, and that's what I did. And a lot of people agreed with me there because only $5 million, even 3,100 theaters, though they did put it in, still only $5 million. Dear Evan Hansen comes in at number 5, $2,400. $2,400? No. Try $2.4 million. That's that other comma there, Brian. 11 million overall. Free Guy comes in at 6th place, $2.2 million. I did have a Free Guy note, $320+ million worldwide. Congrats to them. They still make some cash. Candyman comes in at 7th place, $1.2 million. The reason I put that in there is it's at 75 worldwide. I'm curious if they're hoping for a quick Halloween uptick there to maybe scratch 100. That's a long shot. They need another 25 worldwide. They really need some Halloween play. I wouldn't be surprised to see a commercial come out, some type of advert where they're just like, hey, don't forget, we're still in theaters. Only 1,700 theaters, but either way, try and get 100 million. I think they'd be very pleased. Either way, sitting at 75 worldwide, that's not bad, and none of that's coming from international. 59 of it is from home. Jungle Cruise at number 8 just grabbed $600,000. So it is over 116 overall. Number 9, Chalmera Put 3. Chalmera Putt 3. This is not about my brother's putting game where it takes him 3 putts no matter how many times he puts it on the green. This is a UK movie about a family. They $644,000, only 90 theaters, very limited release. Number 10, also the Jesus Music comes in only 249 theaters. I will say number 11, $500,000 for Titanic. This is a big possible award seasoning player. It's in the festivals right now, and they just dropped it into 500 theaters. I'm going to do a most likely get on this sooner than later, if you will. Try and get out because it is in some of our theaters local to me. I just saw that the other day and I got very excited. That's the only reason I mentioned that. I want to mention one thing internationally. No Time to Die comes out next week domestically, but right now, $119 million internationally. That Bond just dropped over the weekend. Huge. Record-breaking numbers. $119 million for its opening weekend over in the UK, over in Europe, across the pond. So I'm expecting big numbers. Can Bond next week beat Venom's $90 million mark? Probably. I think a lot of people desperately want to see Craig's final film. Again, this is going forward type of talk, but to see it do $100 million to now have the record for the biggest opening post-pandemic. For now, Venom, congrats to you. You have the record for 1 week. Well, no, for that probably. We'll see. That's bad math. All right. Moving along from there, that is our box office. Thank you guys for enduring me talk math. Now let's talk about a little bit more math and talk about our poll results. Asked this week, back on Thursday, all of our socials, you get our poll results, and asked, October's loaded. We are absolutely loaded. I mean, you just heard the films that I mentioned that just dropped this week. Next week, we've got Bond. We've got Halloween Kills. We have a ton of stuff coming out in October. And, you know, Twitter gives you the 4 options of how many you can put up there. But there are so many more. Like, this was the ultimate, like, I almost didn't even want to give you options. I almost kind of want to say, hey, guys, here's a reminder of what's coming out this month. Comment below which one you really like, and I'll just do the math of adding it up. But no, here's the ones that I gave. Dune, Halloween Kills, No Time to Die, and Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Huge votes. We got first day response, arguably one of the biggest responses ever for the show for voting. And then we even got some comments, responses on the Instagram as well. Dune wins it, 30% of the vote, 37% of the vote. Halloween Kills comes in at about 28%. No Time to Die comes in at 26%, just behind them there. And then Venom 2 actually comes in at 9%. Woo! We have some comments. Bo said Venom. Shy said Venom. And Craig said Halloween Kills. Thank you, gentlemen, for your commenting along. I was expecting Dune. I was. But I think Venom being in dead last makes sense. I was surprised to see Dune as big as it was. I guess I felt that might have been Kills, 007, and Dune like a little bit closer to each other. But either way, Dune runs away with it, 37%. Congrats to them, and that's coming at the end of the month. So there will be a review from me towards the end of the month. You know, there was other things many Saints didn't get mentioned in there. There's a couple other big releases I was surprised that nobody even brought up. Either way, of the options, Dune dominates. Okay, folks. It's review time. Venom, Britney vs. Spears, Queenpins, Midnight Mass, and many Saints of Newark are coming at you, and we're going to lead things off with Venom. Let there be carnage. All right, highlights of the film. There's a good scene between Michelle Williams and Tom Hardy, and the interacting when... Ooh, I don't want to give away that spoiler. There's an apology scene, we'll call it. There's an apology that needs to occur. That scene was kind of funny. It was humorous. There is a post-credit, it's a mid-credit scene that is fantastic. And it gives us what we wanted to know. The runtime is only an hour and 94 minutes-ish. And then Woody Harrelson is a national treasure. Just, you know, he just chews up scenery in a great way every single time he's out there. And God bless him. He's fantastic. That's about it. Those are my highlights. That's about it. I will say this. Serkis did a good job of really diving deep into the relationship between Eddie Brock and Venom. And it is, you know, make it not buddy copish, but like these two have to coexist. And that is the crux of the film. Can they coexist together? They don't like each other, but they know they need each other. They have to. Venom can't survive inside another body. He gets strained. He and Eddie Brock match up perfectly. But then it's more than just that. It's more than just the DNA that matches. It's their personalities. It's them. They need each other. They complete they. That was nice avenue that they went down in here. Guys, I didn't laugh one time. I was very bored. I was very just, not like, let me get out of here type bored, but kind of like, all right, what's next? All right, cool. Decent CGI. No, more than decent. Good CGI, but some of the CGI fighting between Carnage and Venom, I'm like, you know, there's symbiote arms coming out all over the place and fighting and pooch. You know, it was like Transformers Part 1. Bunch of big actiony things moving around too fast. We're kind of like, what, who, okay, he punched, now he stabbed. All right, cool. They figured it out. You know, it was kind of similar to the first one where he was like, oh, I can't beat him. Let's rally. Now we can beat him. Maybe does he beat him? I don't want to give the spoilers away. Actually, you know what? Going forward, we're going to talk a little freely because I do need to talk about the post-credit scene eventually. So Woody Harrelson does a great job. You know, he shows some depth to this character, gives some depth to Carnage. I did like that they gave his backstory in like an animated way. It was kind of more fun. We didn't have to go through this whole flashback sequence desperately, you know, a 20-minute thing. That was nice. the movie did move. It didn't drag at any point. That's why I say I may have been bored, but it's not like the movie was dragging. It carried. I did want to know what happened. That is a positive comment. It was just meh. It was just meh. That's it. That's all I got. It was just meh. I didn't hate life, but so post-credit scene. And if you don't want to hear about this, not only post-credit scene, but then something else that I wanted to add in. If you don't want to hear about this, check the timestamps down below or on our socials. I usually post them. Just fast forward. Number 1, Ravencroft is very prominent. This is like a Ravencroft West, right? It's on the West Coast, and Shriek is in this. Shriek is very much a part of the film, and Shriek is a mutant. She says the word mutations in this. Hint, hint, right? Going forward, we have mutations. We have a mutant. How are we getting into that? That's all they wink and nod. You know, there's the word mutation, and Shriek is a mutant. So in the comics, so be that what it may. Now the post-credit scene, again, spoiler. The post-credit scene where they're sitting on the beach or in this little beach hotel room, and then all of a sudden, something happens. Something very weird. Something that looks very much like the trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home, multi-strange, Doctor Strange multiverse type thing. When he's going through that section of the trailer, happens here, and whoop, whoop, now we're in a different location. It's a different time setting, same hotel room, but decorated differently. So now we're in a different universe, if you will. And then who's on our big screen? Who's on the television set? Tom Holland and Spider-Man. So, and it's Spider-Man being revealed, like his mask is off. So you see Tom Holland in the Spidey outfit. So it's that thing from J. Jonah Jameson. Venom jumps up, and he's obsessed now with Spider-Man for some weird reason. He's like, this guy, and he licks the TV screen. Like, he's obsessed now with Spider-Man. So we have now introduced that these worlds were separate, but now their universes are going to be together thanks to whatever is about to happen in December when we go see Spider-Man. So there you have it. That was the main reason we needed to see Venom. We needed to see how are they going to introduce that, and they gave us a little extra tease with the mutations. How are we going to introduce mutants? We may have just found out. Marvel might have just said, we're going to introduce mutants to you guys using the multiverse. They were never a part of the Thanos stuff that we've watched all along, but guess what? That's because they were over here in this universe. Now it's all together as one, kind of a Earth Prime. That's DC's thing. Either way, once they put that all together, boom. All right, moving along. Guys, I didn't hate Venom, but I mean, it was just not great. It was just slow moving. It was boring. It dragged. It didn't drag, but it was boring. It's the nicest thing I can say. Acting performances, across the board are fine. Everyone does a solid job, especially Harrelson, Hardy. You know, there were parts of it where I'm thinking, man, this is the dude in Peaky Blinders, Inception. You know, I'm just thinking of his badass roles. And in this, he's giving you comedy, and he doesn't do a bad job. It's just something I really wasn't able to get behind. All right, done with Venom. Moving along. Britney versus Spears documentary. This will be an even faster one. We just got a documentary about Britney recently, about 2 months ago, about the girls who started their podcast, or Britney Spears podcast, and then they dove deep into what's going on with her and the whole conservatorship. So we just got a doc about it from somebody else. Sadly, this doesn't give us anything really that we didn't know. There's some in-depth things, some better interviews. We find out more about relationships with boyfriends and husbands, and etc., and how she couldn't have her kids. There is a very ugly scene about how her dad let her drive her car for 30 minutes one day on an open track. And she was elated. I get to drive my car? My car is here? I'm allowed to drive? Top down, boom, drive, wind in my hair. All right, time's up. Let's go. You're done. Like, folks, if I know this is a weird, you know, people might not want to dive into this TMZ style story, but just to hear the crap that has happened to this woman is disgusting across the board. It's absolutely insane. And I get this actually gives a little bit of credence to why the conservatorship came along. Like, she was messed in the head, you know, in between while she was shaving it. There was some abuse of substances in different ways, and then she was messed up because the husband left her, and all those kinds of things were happening. I get it. And so someone was like, hey, for your own good, let's do this. Not once should the family have ever been involved. This should have been an outside arbitrator who came in and helped things out. That's where this thing wholly went awry. And the fact that they brought in other boyfriends that they talk about to be in it, man, God bless this woman. I literally legit feel bad for her. It's some shady crap. sometimes, you think the dad just needs a punch in the nose, like one of those type of guys. There's guys we've all met in our lives that you meet them and you're just like, you never got in a fight as a kid, did you? This is one of those dudes. Either way, we've all met them. We all know people like that to this day. Britney versus Spears. If you didn't watch the other doc, watch this one. It's better. It's more in depth. It just doesn't give you a ton of stuff that we didn't just hear on that last doc from like 3 months ago. So watch it. It's on Netflix. It's a quick watch. It'll make you sad. It gives you a little nostalgia early on. It gives you a little old Britney nostalgia from early 2000s, back when we were all huge fans of hers. I know I sure was. But it'll make you sad. It'll make you a little grumpy in some parts. Like, wow, I can't believe they did this to this woman. And it's her family. It's crazy. All right, let's move on to something positive. This might be my spoiler. This might be my most positive review of the day, and that is Queenpins, streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus. Just under 2 hours. This is based on a true story about a pair of housewives that create a $40 million coupon scam. I said that right. Coupon scam. Again, based on a true story, these women figured out how to get coupons sent to them, and then they would sell those coupons for cheap. So they would get a coupon for, free set of diapers. Now, those diapers in real life cost $25 for a jumbo pack of diapers. We'll sell them to you for $15. Everyone across the board, sign me up. I'd do it. Sure. So the people buying the coupons didn't realize that what was happening. They just thought they were on this cool, cheap coupon site. They're rampant now, like legitimate ones where you can buy coupons, get them at a discount, and then you're getting your product at a discount. These ladies did it. They found a way to get actual authentic coupons to them, sold them. Pretty simple math. Of course, what they did is they got a little lavish. They make $40 million. So now they're like, holy crap, we're getting all this cash. What do we do with it? We have to clean it. We don't have to launder the money. We have to figure out how to buy things with it. This doesn't make sense. So now it gets sketchy. And that's where everything goes awry. Kristen Bell, Paul Walter Hauser, Joe McHale, minimally, Vince Vaughn, Dayo Akinye. I'm going to bring him up a little bit later in casting. They all do a phenomenal job. Everyone does great in this job, in this movie. But Kirby Howell-Baptiste, she steals this freaking movie for me, right? If we're crediting IMDb credits here, if you will, for these actors, we have some A-listers here. But then Kirby swoops in, and I couldn't take my eyes off her. She was fantastic. She did a hilarious job. There's one funky dream sequence scene that I thought was kind of out of place and not needed, but they may have decided to put this in the movie to like kind of keep things moving, because there's some technical things in here where you're just kind of like, you have an IRS auditor, a postal inspector, and then a coupon cop, if you will. Paul Walter Hauser, is out for coupon fraud. Like, these are the law enforcement agencies that we're dealing with, not your most exciting run and gun type of folks. The story's fine. It is what it is. Like, you couldn't do a whole lot more with the story. It is fun to see them buy some lavish things, but part of the story is that they can't buy the lavish things just yet. They're not allowed, because people would know immediately. So they try and figure out funky ways to buy things and then resell them so that they can just have the cash. That's how they're laundering the money. They did their best with the story. I will say, if we didn't have these heavyweight actors in here, this would have died. This would have died on the table. And it took a minute to make this movie, and I think that might be why. They realized we needed to get some A-listers in here to carry this kind of not so, super exciting story, as true as it was. Aaron Gaudet, Ajita Pulapili, I think I'm saying that right, wrote and directed this. And they did everything. Everyone did a great job. Everyone did a great job across the board. It's just like not the most exciting story, if that makes sense, right? But held my attention. Check that box. The entire time I wanted to know what happened, check that box. Invested in the characters? Yeah, they added some depth to some of the characters. And to be honest, there's one of the characters in here I wound up not loving. And you should. This is the character they kind of want you to be rooting for. And I wound up kind of by the end of it like, oh, I didn't like the choices being made there, especially towards the very end. But either way, Vaughn, PWH, can I get another movie with Paul Walter Hauser and Vince Vaughn together? Give me a buddy cop thing. Their chemistry was fantastic. This movie's not horrible. It's on Paramount Plus. You can watch it for free. Check off a box. If they could have trimmed it down to like $1.50, if they could have trimmed it to $1.30, that would have raised my review big time. All right, moving along. Here we go. Midnight Mass. Time to get a little spooky. Midnight Mass, Mike Flanagan. You guys know Mike Flanagan from Haunting of Hill House, Dr. Sleep. He's written some seriously good horror stuff out there. So the man, we might have to have a combo with him. Like, buddy, are you okay in the head? Because all you're doing is diving into this horror stuff. Either way, Midnight Mass is a series, 7 episodes. Obviously, they need 7 books of the Bible, so it equates. Also, it tells me that Mike Flanagan, big time Catholic, like he knows his Bible. I mean, or at least did his research, if you will. Kate Siegel, Zach Gilford, kind of your leads here in this, along with Kristen Lehman. I hesitate to say her as the lead. Excuse me. Rahul Kohli, think he does a really good job. Annabeth Gish as well, and then of course I can't forget Alex Esso because she is wild. Anyway, small island town. Former member of the island town comes home. He was in jail for an incident that he killed a girl, and he's in jail for 4 years, comes home. At the same time he comes home, their priest, their pastor of this very religious island town that only holds like 200 people total, has left, and then this new, younger priest comes in here to replace him for a while he is on the mend. It's Hamish Linklater, by the way, is whom I should have mentioned in there, playing that role. It's really good. It's really well written. I will say episodes 1, 2, boom, you're in, you're hooked. You're like, all right, what's going on here? What's up with, Guilford's role? He keeps having these flashbacks of the woman that he killed every night before he goes to bed. So he gets these creepy nightmares every single night of his life. I mean, that would drive me up the wall. Every single night I see this zombie staring me down as I'm going to sleep. That would make you a little in the brain, right? Anybody would. Because every single night you're going to bed. Or you would have to talk to the zombie staring at you, which is a vision. You're just like, hey, hello, Beverly. I know I killed you, and there's a hole in your head that I'm looking at you, zombie lady, but gonna go to bed now. Thanks. Good night. Type thing. Either way. We evolved past that. Episodes 3 and 4. Halfway through episode 4, there's a little turning point in there where we get to a realization of what's happening. And there's hints you kind of can, I don't want to say predictable, but you can kind of see where we're going with a couple of the different characters, where they're going to go, where they're going to progress. And midway through episode 4, it gives it to you and ends very strongly. Episode 5, very strong. Really good stuff where we find out where we're going. Easter's coming. So, this is the resurrection. This is a big moment in the Catholic Church and the faith, and these people are owning it. A couple of the characters are hardcore Opus Dei style religion here, and they're very into it, and the whole community now is starting to see miracles happening, and they're starting to be believers and whatnot. So anyway, without giving a bunch of crap away, here's the negatives in here. Riley Flynn, the character, has these issues, and then those issues factor into this story. None, not at all. So I didn't need any of that. I actually didn't even need to know that this guy went to jail. We tried to give a little backstory to Kate Siegel's character. Wasn't needed. So I think they needed to fill some time in some areas. Some of that was unnecessary completely. Then in the end, when we find out what everyone is, it's like, oh, all right, that's neato. And it kind of just wraps. It was a little bit of a letdown for how it wrapped. And also a little bit of letdown for any jump scares. There weren't a ton of jump scares. There's some, some demons and stuff that pop out and some demonic things. And that's cool and that's fun. And some decent gore. Could have been more, but decent gore could have been more. That should be the title of the ep. Overall, I enjoyed it. I really wanted to know what happened. I was bummed to see how some characters turned out. I was like, oh, that's what happens to that guy. That's kind of a bummer. And, you try and predict what's going to happen. Like, oh, is this guy going to save the day? Is Zach going to save the day? Nope. Maybe not. Yes. They become a bad guy themselves. Fun stuff like that does happen in this. So it's fun. It's got that demonic type scary. So if I'm more of a slasher horror type guy. So I like those better. But overall, a solid 7.5 for this. If I'm doing a rating, there's just parts of it that I felt were very unnecessary, that we weren't needed, and really led you down a path where you're overthinking this character. And then, oh, all right, so I didn't need to invest my time in that guy because you let me down. All right, Midnight Mass on Netflix now. Check it out, especially during spooky season. It's really good. Really enjoyed it, despite the many flaws that I had to nitpick a couple of things in there. Other than that, it's a lot of fun. Really well written. Mike Flanagan can almost do no wrong with his horror writing. Okay, moving along from there. We're wrapping. We're wrapping up all of our reviews. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're on to. This was a top 5 anticipated film for me coming into this year. Many Saints of Newark. And I am a humongous Sopranos fan. It's my number one favorite show of all time. Sorry, Smallville, but Sopranos just edges you out. And so I was very kid glove hesitant, positive thinking going into this. I don't ruin my childhood type mentality, but also the trailers gave me something. The trailers gave me like, okay, I am intrigued. I want to see the prequel of Tony Soprano. I did not see the sequel or the prequel of Tony Soprano. I saw the Dickie Moltisanti running North Jersey and interacting with New York and interacting with new adversaries. And I saw a little bit of Tony Soprano. That was a flaw. I feel if this entity is a Tony Soprano entity, what? I didn't get anything. I got very minimal little pin drops, little needles here. If this is just in the Soprano verse and we're not talking Tony, awesome. It has some cool stuff. It has some really fun throwbacks to see people back in the 60s into the 70s, early 70s, and like people then, and you just know them now. It's like, oh, that was them hanging out back then. A lot of Sopranos, the series would talk about, hey, back in my day, he and I used to hang out. Jackie and I used to run the streets here and stuff like that. So that's awesome. So now you see a little bit of that in here. And you would have Tony Soprano. He'd be like, oh, my dad and Dickie Moltisanti, they would run this and run that. Well, now you get to see a little bit of them running this or running that. But it did not feel like a Sopranos style to me. It felt like The Godfather to me. It opens up at a party. Very Italian mob movie trope, right? You have to open up at some type of ceremony. It does that. Check that box. Awesome. It has I don't want this life. I want to be a civilian. Your higher up say, we don't want you. You're really smart. Stay away. Stay away. Don't do this. Ooh, but that calling is bringing me into the life, being a mobster. Reminds me of Michael Corleone a lot. A lot of this, to me, almost have more Godfather tropes, which granted, I know Sopranos did that, right? It owned the mafia trope. But I was almost loving it for its more Godfather-y aspects than the Sopranos things. If you never told me that this was a Sopranos product, let's go that route with the review. It's fine. It's not bad. You see a couple of, there's some guy, this guy gets whacked, this guy makes a bad deal here, and then he gets taken out, and then this guy's leaving. He used to work for him. He's leaving. We've seen this, and this happens in mafia movies all the time. It was okay. I would put it up there as a decent mafia film. Sure. Definitely not upper echelon, not even a little bit. But that's it. That's the route we're going. So it's a fine it's a fine mafia movie. That's it. Now, you want to give me the Soprano pin drops? There were some good ones in the Soprano verse, and I'll get into the acting performances in a minute, but I guess not enough. And this is going to lead me to, we have some news later on about David Chase, the writer and creator of Sopranos, that hopefully makes things better. And that hope is that they now announce, hey, guess what, guys? We're getting, excuse me, that was gross. We're getting a sequel to this. Now I'm in. Now I'm going to say, okay. Now it's like, all right, now I'm going to review your two products, put them together, and maybe that makes one long thing. Like, kind of like if you want to put Infinity War and Endgame together and make it one massive, amazing product. If you're giving me a sequel that now sees Tony going forward, that now sees Tony jumping into that life. Sorry if this spoils people that Tony Soprano becomes a bad guy. Then I'm in. Then I'm like, oh, okay. This was kind of like a prequel to a prequel, if you will. And I like it. And that will help my review better. But as this moment I'm talking, we don't have a definitive, there is going to be a sequel to this film. Again, in the news, we're going to circle back to that with David Chase. Alessandro Nivola as Dickie Moltisanti does a good job. He can play another mafioso type guy down the road. Put him in these films, he'll do a great job. John Bernthal, I love him in everything he freaking does. He didn't get a lot to do here, but he played that short temper, high attitude, you disrespect me the way you look at me, Johnny Soprano, perfectly. Vera Farmiga, I want to hug you. You're phenomenal as Livia Soprano. Like, I could picture Livia Soprano younger through Vera Farmiga. She did a fantastic job. Corey Stolas Jr. does a good job. He's fine. Michael Gandolfini, it's weird. I have trouble seeing his dad's face in his eyes. I really do. It's weird. Maybe going forward, I don't know. Maybe he needs to fatten up, to be honest. John Magaro as Silvio. Billy Magnuson as Paulie Walnuts. Billy Magnuson does a fine job. He really does. He does a good job as Paulie Walnuts. It's more like the caricature of it, though. Whereas John Magaro as Silvio Dante, oh my God. spot. Like, he should get nommed just for his, I don't want to say impression because I feel that would sour his performance. His performance playing this younger character, his head movements and the way he talks and the hand move, everything about him, he nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. I thought he was the best part of playing the younger versions of everybody else. The casting for teenage Janice, Alexandra, and Trantor, I believe is the girl's name. I just thought the casting was great. I was like, holy crap, that looks like a super young Janice. That girl just, puts on weight as she gets older. That definitely looks like a super young Janice. And then the last thing is Leslie Odom Jr. I mean, this guy's on fire right now. He can do no wrong. He's phenomenal. Have loved him for quite some time. Everyone got introduced to him in Hamilton, etc. But in here, he plays this badass dude. He doesn't play that singing and dancing. He plays this badass guy. I want to see this next step because, he's around. Tony Soprano's around. Give me that part 2, folks, and this will make me love this movie even more. And I hate that that's a thing. I hate that that would affect my review, that you need to give me another movie to make this movie better. But that's how I feel 100% about many Saints of Newark. Here's what else. I started rewatching Sopranos. I can't help it. I watched 5 episodes yesterday. I was a little sick over the weekend, and I a lot sick, actually, over the weekend, to be honest. Had some time to kill, and I was like, oh, push play, HBO Max. Anywho. There's your reviews, guys. 5 great reviews for you guys. All of them to woohoo. I hate that my Queenpins review is the highest, even though it wasn't that. No, Midnight Mass is by far the best thing that I watched, followed by Many Saints. But going forward, we're going to take a quick little breather and then be right back. I have to give a shout out to the Baltimore Ravens. What? Yeah, that's right. I despise the Ravens, and you guys already know that. But I have to give them a shout out. We know that recently Michael K. Williams passed away. He played Omar on The Wire. The Wire takes place in Baltimore. Bing. Last week, and I missed this last week, I meant to say it. Last week, if you're familiar with this character of The Wire, he had that whistle. That Omar whistle, if you will. Last week, before the game started, they had all the Jumbotrons kind of went to black, and they did the Omar whistle to start the game at a home game for the Ravens. I thought that was really badass. Good on the Ravens people for playing that, just as a little bit of a tribute to Michael K. Williams. That was really cool. Good for you, Raven folk. All right, on to the casting couch we go. Hypnotic. Robert Rodriguez. This is an action thriller that we've already announced Ben Affleck is going to be a part of. Has added Dayo Akenye. Just talked about him in Queenpins. He's good in Queenpins. He doesn't have a ton to do. He has that secondary character. I didn't talk about him a lot there. But what he does is good, and his character is important to the storyline, and he does a good job with it. Added him, and then also William Fichtner. William Fichtner's been in 10,000 things. He honestly has. So that cast is really good. Action thriller from Robert Rodriguez with those guys in there. I am in. That Netflix comedy that is still untitled, I mentioned last week, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Noah Hill. Not Noah Hill. Nope. Pretty sure it's Jonah Hill. He's not Noah. He doesn't have a bunch of animals on boats. Jonah Hill. Sorry, see that Midnight Mass with the Catholic stuff. It's in the head. Anyway, Jonah Hill, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. They have added David Duchovny and Nia Long to that. Getting a loaded cast here, man. True Lies, CBS. Ginger Gonzaga. She was in Kidding. And then Steve Howie, who is in Shameless. They've been cast as the leads. And then Erica Hernandez, Michael Gorman. I'm not familiar with either of them, but Omar Miller, I am familiar with him. Ballers. Probably the best character arc on the show Ballers of any of the characters. Go down. I have no problem saying that. Either way, they've all been cast in this True Lies CBS pilot that's coming. I gotta imagine that that's going to go to series just with the name, the brand recognition, if you will. But we'll see. Who knows? The Netflix heist film that we don't have a title for it yet, but Noah Hawley is or Hewley, excuse me. He's the Fargo creator, the series. He is in charge of this. He's creating this, and he has cast Regé-Jean Page to be the lead. We might talk about him a little next week after our James Bond review. What? Blumhouse has a new project. John Logan is making his directorial debut here. We already have Carrie Preston. We already have Kevin Bacon. This is a thriller. Again, Blumhouse, almost all of their stuff is thrillers. They have added Anna Chlumsky to the cast. My girl. A thriller and Anna Chlumsky, just bees. Kill everybody. Kill her best friends. Anawati, or excuse me, not Anna, Jesus, clap. Waddingham from Ted Lasso. The reason I wanted to throw Hannah Waddingham in here is from Ted Lasso. I love that show. And Tom Jones, they're redoing the Tom Jones book. And that is a BBC product, actually. But I love the Waddingham, so I wanted to mention that she got a new role. And then lastly here, Argyle. We've talked about Argyle in the past. This is Matthew Vaughn, his Apple TV original that they're doing. It has Sam Rockwell. It's got Bryce Dallas Howard. It's got Henry Cavill. They have added Ariana DeBose. She is Tony nominated. She was Justin Schmigadoon. She joins an absolutely loaded cast. And that is the rest of our casting couch. Now, a little bit of what's in the glass. Now, again, we're doing some 5-year stuff here. Take Two Podcast, 5-year anniversary stuff. There was a time where we were all on, a bunch of hosts were on at the same time recording. Not a live show, but we were all together. And it was my turn to give the what's in the glass. I was very excited because this time of year, very pumped. I had background football music that I played leading into the fall. My favorite fall beer, top 3 favorite beer of mine, but it's seasonal, is Sam Adams Oktoberfest. I was so excited. I said, guys, I'm doing Sam, and I got destroyed. My former co-hosts were like, you're an idiot. That's not a delicious beer. Get lost. Well, guess what, boys? I'm referencing it again today. Sam Adams Oktoberfest. Fall is here. It's October. Football is back. The Giants got a win. And Sam Oktoberfest is my favorite fall beer by far. You can't drink it, but if it's in the fall, because I tried once many moons ago to drink it in August because they released it all early, and it was like, 80 degrees, and it don't match. But you get that cool, crisp day. You get a nice Sam Oktoberfest in your hand. If you guys haven't had it, I highly recommend. Samuel Adams, they make a lot of beer. Their Oktoberfest is my favorite of their choices. While you're watching football next weekend, watching the Giants beat the Cowboys, grab yourself a Sam Oktoberfest. All right, that's our What's in the Glass. Now it's time for trailer talk. Good trailers this week, some decent trailers. Let's start off with Finch. Actually, this dropped a little bit ago, and I forgot to talk about it last week, which is crazy because it has Tom Hanks. And we've actually talked about this casting and talked about this filming for probably a year now. This is Finch, Apple TV original product, which we're going to get November 5th. This is Hanks builds a robot because he's in dystopian, post-apocalyptic type thing, has a dog, and now he builds a robot to take care of the dog after he dies. Excuse me while I cry. It looks like there's a little action adventure in this, and I'm just intrigued. I'm intrigued to see where this goes. Apple TV, this comes out 11/5, Tom Hanks. Finch. Tragedy of Macbeth. Give me the Coen brothers. Give me McDermott. Shocker, Coen brothers, McDermott together. And give me Denzel in a black and white Christmas Day release doing the Tragedy of Macbeth. Very intrigued to see how this goes, to see what happens here. Limited release Christmas, and then on to Apple TV again there on January 14th. Definitely we'll be watching that one as it releases. Ozark Season 4. Folks, if you'll recall, I was not out, but hesitant on Ozark Season 3. What are we getting here? I'm not sure where we're going to go. Boy, was I... one of my takes that might be the most wrongest ever. Second to thinking Brian Leaf would be better than Peyton Manning. That has me hooked going forward to Season 4. Now, also, we know Season 4, final season. Awesome. I love when a series knows that it's going to be their last season, so that doesn't leave us hanging. It wraps things up towards the end. We don't always get that. Don't forget. So Ozark Season 4, they dropped their trailer. It's a very quick trailer. It doesn't really give you anything. It's just like the next scene. Like the Season 3 ended. What would the very next thing be 2 minutes later? That's what it shows happening, and then just teases you as like new characters coming in. And it comes sometime in 2022. Did not give us the actual release date there. Licorice Pizza, Paul Thomas Anderson. We have talked about this film for a little bit here. We've actually been talking about PTA's next movie because its cast is insane, as they always are. It's weird. It looks like a Paul Thomas Anderson movie. I mean, you have to be in on this guy or you're just going to be totally tripped out. And I think this looks really good. But again, what the crap is it about? We shall see. Looks intriguing. 11/26. I really want to see it. Just going to have to wait until it comes out, and then we'll go check it out and then come back around and tell you how. I mean, just the artistry of PTA is top notch. Some people would say some of the best, when we're talking about his eye for laying out a scene and putting things together, your characters, your background, your foreground, your cinematography, if you will. And you can see that in the trailer. It's like he really pays attention to every little detail. Licorice Pizza looks like a wild ride. 11/26 that drops. And then the last thing I just want to throw out here, Nat Geo, first week of December is dropping Welcome to Earth. Now, what movie did Will Smith say, Welcome to Earth? Trivia time. Hit us up on that new hotline, 667-365-8253, to let us know what movie did Will Smith say, Welcome to Earth. That's a horrible Will Smith impression, by the way. But he is doing like a Nat Geo thing where he goes mountain climbing and skydiving, like just explores different sections of Earth. And that could be really cool. I mean, Will Smith is a very grounded, centered type of guy, I feel, in interviews that you give. You see him talk, he just seems to just stay humble, which is wild. He could be the biggest jerk of all time, but he seems to not be that. So I am in on watching him explore the Earth and see kind of what type of stuff. Very Jeff Goldblum, Disney Plus. And this is Nat Geo, so I'm going to assume we'll also get this over on Disney Plus. That is it for the trailer talks, folks. I'm going to take a quick breather and be right back. Okay, I like it for you YouTubers if you're watching me take a breather, which is simply me maybe take a swig of something and then turn like back to, hello, we're back. We didn't actually go anywhere, but here we are. Coffee got cold. That's what happens when you talk nonstop. Your coffee got cold, so we're going to open up a nice fresh water. Hello. All right. Here it is, folks. Here is your history of Take Two, a little TTP history for some of you folks. We started this thing back in 5 years ago. We started doing this, and Nick and myself came up with the idea of doing a YouTube show. And we did it. We filmed an episode. My old house I used to live in, we went down the basement and filmed, excuse me, that's gross, a full episode, edited it, had the ideas of doing a little top 5 list in there, and then doing a review, and the basics, a lot of elements that you still have today. But then we dropped that onto the internet. It no longer exists. I looked because I was actually going to repost it just for the heck of it. It's no longer there. And that show was called IMO, in my opinion. That was that show. Did it. Nick was a big tech guy, and then he was like, oh, let me see if I can edit it. It took him days to edit it. And he was like, bro, I don't know if I can do this type of editing. I said, all right, well, you know what? Podcasting is kind of a thing. Why don't we just do the microphones? Let's not do that, and it can help us. So we did. Nick and I came up with the idea to do Take Two podcasts. I searched for hours for a title, and I wanted some silly kind of a name, and Take Two with, misspelled, if you will, properly, but it's our Take Two. So I was like, oh, fun play on words, and that works. No one uses it. Go search, try and look up a podcast and start your own podcast right now, folks, and just 20 names off the top of your head. I bet you 18 of them are taken. Fun time. So Nick and I jumped on there. We started that, our first thing. The first thing we ever talked about was where is DC going with their films? Where is the lane that DC thinks that they're going to happen with all of their films coming out? This is way before Justice League. This is, only Man of Steel had been out, etc. That kind of stuff. So we had no clue what was going to happen. Either way, episode 6 of Take Two Podcast, Bo comes on board, and Nick and I are like, hey, wouldn't it be cool to every now and then just get a guest host to come on, chit chat, say hi. Have if they saw something different, we can add a review to the show. At that time we were doing maybe 2 reviews per ep at best. And so Bo was like, sure, I'll jump on. After that, episode 7, the debut of Tony. Tony jumps on, same deal, wants to come on, talk about something hilarious. If you guys are listeners, Tony just recently left the show. Go back and listen to how long that man talks. If you were to go back and listen to episode 7, oh my God, it's hilarious. The most shy, quietest talk of all time. And I remember thinking in my head, I know this dude in real life. He doesn't shut the F up. But right now I can't get him to say a word on. It was very quiet. That's why I like to review my thing. We all get there, right? You put a microphone and everything changes. We all know that obviously changed over time for Tone, for sure. Craig comes on episode 9. Craig was our CW consultant because he watched so much CW network shit that we brought him on to talk CW stuff. This is episode 9, so it was October. Now we're talking, this is December. I guess some things may have been coming out at that time. He was giving a mid-season review of, I don't know, Riverdale or something that hadn't come out yet, but something to that effect. So Craig jumps on there. Episode 10, Roy jumps on. Again, same reasons for Bo and Tony. They had things just to chat about. So we started rotating, and I'll be honest, this is to Nick's chagrin. He never wanted more people to come on. It was 100% my fault. But these guys had a fun time. So we have fun, we decided how about we do like a rotation of hosts? Like, because we couldn't always make the time slot. The time slot, mind you, was Monday night, 7 p.m. If you were able to make the Monday night, 7 p.m., boom, you got to jump on. And we would take turns talking and reviewing some crap. How many people have you fast forwarded through this history of Take Two? I don't blame you one bit if you fast forward through this. Either way, I'll try and wrap it up quick. So you would jump on. So some weeks, myself, Bo, Tony, we can make it. So you would get a Brian, Bo, and Tony show. The following, Craig, Nick, and Roy, blah, blah, blah. So we would always rotate, and we tried to market that. I will tell you this, guys, right now, there is zero market for that. There is no market out there of listeners that want to say, I don't know who's going to be the host this week. It could be these two. It could be those two. What fun. Nah, people don't listen to podcasts for that. People listen to podcasts because they know what they're going to get. That's why I subscribe to this movie podcast versus that. I like what these guys say. I like their comment. We didn't know. We were trying, man, and we tried to market it. Also, who were any of us to say, hey, you're not allowed to be here anymore type thing? We'll come back to that sentence in a second. All right. Craig has a good buddy named John. We knew John, too. I was friends with John as well. And he's like, hey, man, can we start coming on talking wrestling? And I was like, what? Wrestling. Yes. WWE still exists. They had stuff. And so John comes on. Now, John knows his stuff for movies and whatnot, too. But they also wanted to do like a wrestling angle. So they jump on, talk a little bit of wrestling. So then they want to do like a spin-off thing where they do their own episodes of wrestling. And we're like, cool, add it to our feed. So they would do a weekly show talking wrestling. Legit. They would break down SmackDown, Raw, AEW, NEW, NWO, DX, I don't know, whatever. So they would put it all together, talk that. It became popular. They actually did a great job of it. It became so popular that down the road, we kind of had to kick them out / they agreed it was a good thing. It actually helped their show better than it did Take Two podcast, because then they left. They started the T3 network and started their own wrestling show, and they had that for a long time. They had a great following, and that's how they branched off and left with their show. Now, during this time, Craig and John, still the rotation of hosts. We're not done. I'm at an event. We started doing these live shows called Brews and Beats. This is a spin-off show where I would go to Hard Rock Cafe. Roy, Nick, they would beat us up there. Bo drove up once all the way from Virginia, would make the drive. And we would sample a new beer because we had the What's in the Glass segment. And then there would be a live band. And we would talk to the live band afterwards. And all this was sanctioned by Hard Rock Cafe up in Baltimore. And it was a lot of fun. So we kind of had a mild sponsor there. We had our own booth and we would get to chat with them. And it was fun, just something different. And plus, I honestly was using it as a way to get better at interviewing people, especially live interviews. Because, as you know, on our YouTube, we have all these live interviews. This is going to make this episode so long. I didn't think I'd be talking this long about our history of Take Two. Either way. At the Brews and Beats, this girl is there. She chats with us. She works at a local brewery. She starts talking movies, and it's like she knows everything under the sun. I was like, holy crap. What could help our marketing even better is if we got a girl, right? We have all these dudes on. Let's get a girl in here that could bring in more listeners. God, was I wrong. So I text all the guys. Roy's there. He'll vouch for me. She sounded like a genius. And she was. Jen's great. We add Jen. So I text them like, guys, we have a girl. She can jump in. She knows her shit. Bing. We add Jen to the cast. Now we're loaded. There's all of us, all of us on the show. We're rotating who the hosts are. We're doing live Brews and Beats things. We do CW now comes along. And we're at a con where we're doing a live thing. Talk to CW. They're like, you guys are hired. You are phenomenal. Can you come and work with us? Kind of not work for them because we never made a dime off of them. But you can use our studios. You can broadcast from here. All this kind of stuff. And we will be your official sponsor. You guys will be the official podcast of the CW network, DCW50. Rock and roll. How are we going to say no? The unfortunate part of that is all of our schedules are so nuts. We could never take full advantage of CW like we could have. It was always there for the taking, and we just couldn't do it. CW was nice. That was fun. It was a lot of work for us for not a lot of return. I don't mean that in an arrogant way, but it might come off that way. I'm sorry. But we did a ton of work to give to them, and they did their best at like retweeting, but that was it. And they did give us a commercial. We did make an actual commercial that airs on actual television of our mugs on there. Either way, CW was fine. We were the official podcast of the CW network. That's it. Then COVID hit, and all of their programming went away for a year, and we just didn't re-up our contract. That's the nicest way of saying it. I will say we did live shows. I tried to push for us all to get together at least once a month to record something live. This is pre-COVID, of course, mind you. Our first ever live show was March of 2018, and that was our first assignment podcast where everyone had an assignment, and all of us gathered in my old house, not my old house, actually, now that I think about that, and we had to do our birth year app where you had to review 2 films from the year you were born that you had never seen before. So we threw that out there. That was a wild ride. I was furious at Craig and Tony because they sat on the other side of the room just like chit-chatting and being chummy. And then I had Nick in between me, and he was like instant messaging or AIMing his wife the whole time. And then Roy and I were over here. I was mad at Roy because he sat in my favorite chair. I was like, what are you doing? That's my favorite chair. But either way. And then Bo couldn't make it, so we had him on the internet, like talking to us. That was our first ever live stream. Oh, actually, that's pre-John because John commented the entire time. Sorry, I'm out of order. We had our box office draft. That was something fun that we used to do. All of us would literally draft as if it's fantasy football, but it was fantasy box office. Something that could be cool that we could bring back maybe down the road. Maybe I can get some outsiders to bring that back. Craig is your defending champion of all time for that one. Over time, it was too much work for Nick and Bo, so they just left, because it was just things were growing, things were getting good. You listeners are much appreciated that you're here, and they're just like, this is a ton of work. So they just said, hey, we're having a good time, but we're going to bounce. Craig and John, mostly they left because they started a wrestling show and their energies were devoted to the wrestling show. Jen just bounced. She needed some time and space away. And then at one point she wanted to come back, but the math just didn't work out. Roy is here, but he does The Realm, as you know. He does The Realm of Take Two, and he does that spinoff show, which he started over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, actually. And you still get to hear Roy all the time. And then Tony, you guys know, he was part of the show until 2 weeks ago. And now you're down to just me. I cheesed for the cameras on YouTubers. So there you go, guys. There's a history of Take Two. It has all been fantastic from day one. I've loved every minute of it. It has had ups, downs, in-betweens. The ups far more outweigh the downs. And to the point where the downs were so minimal that it was like we're griping about nothings right now because this is a blast. I love every minute that you guys listen. I love every bit of the show. I hope we can do 10, 5, whatever. 10 more years. I'll say it. Freudian slip there. 10 more years of the show. All I ask is a rating and review from you guys. Let me know what you're thinking about the show and shoot those emails, the new text message, whatever would be great. And just tell your friends that also listen because this is an absolute blast. I sincerely thank everybody for listening to Take Two Podcast for all of these 5 years and the next now 10, since I slipped there, to go. On from the TTP History onto our Hollywood news. Book of Boba has a release date. It is not July. 12 is December. December 29th is the Book of Boba. That is when we're getting that on Disney Plus. Fun fact, that's also the final episode of Hawkeye. So the following week I'll have a review of Hawkeye as the series as that wraps, but we'll also get a little that's Disney Plus is going to own that night for sure. And plus that's that Christmas week, everyone's going to be watching. I expect huge numbers off of that. Huge, as soon as it's released on the 29th type numbers for Book of Boba. We also got 11/24 Encanto is getting released. We actually got an actual hard release date on there. The BAFTAs have announced that their award show is going to be May 8th. The TV version for the BAFTAs is actually going to be April 24th. Happy anniversary to my wife. That's our anniversary day. Nominations will be announced on March 30th. But May 8th we'll be getting the BAFTAs. I'm a big fan of the BAFTA Awards. To me, that's the English version of the Oscars. That's a high up there, high upper echelon award. Anyone who listens to our spotlights, we talk about it. Anyone that wins a BAFTA. That's a big deal. For you Walking Dead folks, Negan spinoff, interested? Maybe, could be. I fell off of Walking Dead, not for a reason, just like one of those where I just stopped. It wasn't bad. It's just, oh crap, that's right. It did start 3 weeks ago, didn't it? Let me try and catch up. 3 more weeks goes by. One of those shows. But, so I don't know what happened to Negan because I stopped after he killed Glenn and what's his name? Either way. But Jeffrey D. Morgan has spoken with the producers about some type of a spinoff. I don't know any more details. Is this prequel? Is this going forward? So you guys who are caught up might think, well, he died, so it has to be prequel, or he's alive, so whatever. All right. Ridley Scott is working on a project right now. He is almost done with that project. One is that, and it's a big deal. But once that's done, Gladiator 2 is a go. What? We joked about this like a year ago. Like, what is this going to be about? Because I'm pretty sure the guy died at the end. But it's a go. He said he's all about it, and he's already talked to some askers. What? Some actors, Brian. Actors. What the crap is happening? Ridley has already talked to some actors involved. They want to do it. Gladiator 2 is going to happen. So maybe like 2024, we're getting a Gladiator 2. Ridley Scott, also not young. So that is a little bit intriguing. David Chase, creator of the Rockford Files, also Sopranos. Any old folks out there, John, that are like, oh, I used to watch the Rockford Files back in the day? Bo, John, is that you guys? Anyway, fun fact about David Chase. Guess when his birthday is? Same as me, August 22nd, just a couple of years earlier, like 1945-ish. But August 22nd, happy birthday. Signs a 5-year first look deal with Warner Brothers. This goes back to my review. Could this mean we're getting a part 2? A Many Saints part 2? Woohoo! I hope so. I really, really do. But then I also hope there's more. Like, give us some more, maybe in the Sopranos verse, or give me something else out of David Chase. The dude's a super smart guy. And he's got a whole bunch of, good, like I mentioned, Rockford Files. He's got other credits to his name. He's not just a Sopranos guy. So let's see what else we can get. Hopefully that's exactly what that means. 5-year deal going forward, gives us a Many Saints part 2, bring back the exact same cast, minus the ones that died, spoiler, and boom, drop that thing next year. I'd be all about it. Because if we see the evolution of Tony, like now Tony's starting to work his way up. Because if you remember season 1 of Sopranos, he's not the boss. It takes a few eps before he becomes the boss. Remember, Jackie's the boss at the time. He's the acting boss. Jackie has cancer. Bing. Remember that when Tony hired the stripper to come in and pretend she was a nurse? Never mind. Sorry. All right, that is actually going to wrap up our Hollywood news. On to the DC discussion. A couple of casting things here. India Moore has been cast. I'm not familiar with her whatsoever, but she's cast as Karshan to be in Aquaman Part 2. Cool. Karshan is a Green Lantern villain. Is notoriously in the comics a villain in the Green Lantern books. So why is she now going to be an Aquaman? What does that mean going forward? Some other casting things. Superman and Lois. Ian Bohen has been cast as Lieutenant Mitch Anderson. He's going to take over for the DOD. If you guys remember, at the end of this season, General Lane retired from the DOD. He's not going to be there anymore. So this guy, young, hot, military guy, he's going to come in. I meant hot as in like up and coming, not good looking, but he's probably a good looking guy. Either way, the script here is that he's going to be kind of anti-Superman. So basically what General Lane is in the comics is what this guy is now going to be, because they kind of twisted that in this recent series for Superman and Lois on the CW. So either way, he's going to be in there as running the DOD. And lastly, Stargirl, Joel McHale is going to be a season 3 regular. I was talking with previous co-host Craig, good pal of mine, about Stargirl, and he and I agree. I think I'm just going to binge all of it when I can, once it's done, because it just came out last week. And so I will have a Stargirl season 2 review. I want to just binge all of it in one crux, then give you that, obviously, that full season review, but that will be a little bit down the road. But now I'm curious, how is McHale going to factor back into season 3? Because I thought he was dead, but either way, maybe I'm just missing a little something there. The last thing we have on here is that DC Fandom, guys, October 16th, that's coming out. That is 2 weeks away. It's going to be huge. The Flash should be wrapped filming by then. And then Pattinson even surprised. He said that he and Zoe Kravitz did like a fun thing for the fandom that everyone's really going to like. There's going to be some major hype coming for the Batman. So I'm expecting huge things from them out of the fandom, and I'm also expecting to not get a lot of news this week, next week, leading into the fandom, obviously, because they're just going to drop a ton of news on us, kind of like Henry Cavill, Man of Steel Part 2. Okay, done with DC discussion, on to the Marvel Minute. Only one thing for Marvel here, and that is Sam Raimi. Nope, not Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi. So I'm laughing first because I know it's Sam Raimi in real life. And there's going to be 3 people listening that are also going to laugh at that. Anyway, Raimi, the director, he said, after Spider-Man 3 dropped, he was downtrodden. It was financially a success, but the movie got destroyed. And rightfully so. I did not like Spider-Man 3 either. But Doctor Strange opened up. He was interested. He said, you know what? He wants that challenge. He wants that challenge of coming back into the superhero verse and doing it again. And he admitted, he was like, you know what? If the internet was what the internet is today, he may have gotten destroyed so bad. This is 07, was Spidey 3? So the internet isn't what it is today. Twitter isn't what it is today. And it would have gotten more. And he admitted that. He was like, if I had read all the stuff that happens on the internet now when I dropped that film, I probably would have quit directing. It didn't happen. He's on to Doctor Strange. I'm glad for it. but he said it's part of the challenge now. Part of his challenge is, what am I, the internet reaction. And that sucks. That sucks that now directors, filmmakers need to think about that. Like, do I want to take on this challenge because I know I'm going to get destroyed? Like, I know I'm going to have this hot take. Why get to, or not necessarily a hot take, because most people that put out hot takes know they're doing it on purpose. But do I want to make this film knowing that half the fan base is just going to hate it off the top? You know what I mean? And so maybe we need to give some directors a little more credit when they make films that we don't love, or half the fan base we know is not going to love, no matter what you do. But just accept that here's their vision, here's what they tried to do. I don't know. Maybe it'll make me feel a little bit better towards some Star Wars projects recently. No, it doesn't. Anyway, done with the Marvel Minute, on to going forward. Man, birthday stuff. By the way, I mentioned David Chase's birthday, August 22nd. Randomly, as I was looking at different things, I saw some birthdays for today, October 4th. Now, you guys are listening to this later. Today is the 4th, right? Yeah. So you're listening to this after. But October 4th, Rachel Lee Cook, Christoph Waltz, Alicia Silverstone, Melissa Benoist, Nick Mohammed from Ted Lasso, Dakota Johnson, not Fanning, Dakota Johnson, Liev Schreiber, Charlton Heston, R.I.P., and Susan Sarandon. All of this birthday on October 4th. Crazy. Susan Sarandon, happy 75th birthday, lady. Does not look 75, faux show. Okay, going forward, Take Two podcast. My scary reviews will continue. Someone Inside Your House is released on Netflix. That'll probably check that box. If not, I'll find something else scary that we will be talking about. So there will be a horror film that we talk about next week for the month of October. By the way, I hope you guys like the new logo, our October logo. Did anybody notice that? Hit us up on that new hotline, baby, 667-365-TAKE. Boom. No Time to Die. That's going to be our big review next week. It comes out next week. I already have tickets in hand. I can't wait to go see it in the theater, and that will be their big review next week going forward. Ted Lasso also wraps up this week, so we will have a review of season 2 of Ted Lasso. If you follow us on socials, you probably already know my thoughts, because I absolutely adore that show. It can do no wrong by me. I even liked the Coach Beard app. What? Release is coming out, limited, South of Heaven, Sudeikis, mentioning Ted Lasso, like that segue, boom. And Evangeline Lilly, they are in that. That's a limited release. I'm not sure if that's going to be near me, nor will I have time to see it, but we'll get there. A movie called Mass. Now, this isn't Midnight Mass. This is just your normal Mass that you have to attend on Sunday mornings. Jason Isaacs, what's her name? Ann Dowd, Plimpton, they're all in this. I don't know a lot about that film. I'm joking about it being the normal 10 o'clock Mass. By the way, the movie Lamb, we talked about this trailer and how freaking weird it looks. Maybe this should be my horror review. Try and get to the theaters to see Naomi Rapace. This is where they have a baby, but it's half lamb. The shepherds out in Iceland or something. God, it looked creepy as heck, but I still kind of want to watch it. Maybe that'll be my horror review if I can get to it. Survive the Game, Bruce Willis film, baby. Also comes out this week. Netflix stuff for you. Chappelle has a new stand-up called The Closer, special that comes out on the 5th, so that's probably as you're listening to this. It comes out tonight for you guys listening, or it might have came out last night. Either way, that's out on Netflix this week. Again, I mentioned Someone Inside Your House. There is Bad Sport, that's a documentary, a sports documentary out on Netflix, and then Escape Undertaker, throwing this out there for John and Craig. This is, I don't know, a WWE product that has The Undertaker going up against the Bushwhackers versus the Legion of Doom versus the Hardy Boys. And then the Rockers jump in. I'm just naming tag teams. Badass Billy Gunn and New Age Outlaws. I said the wrong words. Damn it. I was doing good. Anyway, Escape the Undertaker is a little WWE thing that they have on Netflix coming out this week. And then I mentioned last week in trailers the Muppets Haunted Mansion. That comes out later on this weekend on Disney+. That will not be my scary movie review. I will definitely do an actual horror movie for that going forward. So we got a lot coming out, guys. October's absolutely loaded, so there's plenty of content where you're going to be chatting about each and every week here on Take Two Podcast. Thank you guys for listening to my show. I appreciate it. Thank you for enduring the History of TTP earlier, or TTP History. That is horrible. Like, what a dork. Why do I say that? Anywho, hit us up on socials. I would love the first listener to text or leave a voicemail, 667-365-TAKE. That's 667-365-8253. Wins a prize from me. It'll be Take Two Podcast style prize from me to you. Very first one that I get. I'll be watching my phone. Watching it right now. It's not buzzing yet. you're going to get a little prize. Hit up that, and then follow our socials if you guys don't mind, at Take Two Podcast, Twitter, Take2podcast at gmail.com if you want to shoot us an email. And then, of course, Instagram and Facebook. Don't forget on Facebook, guys, there's a regular Facebook page, but then there's also the Take Two Universe. That's our group page. That has a lot more fun stuff that we get to do some interactive stuff together and talk about some fun things and a lot of fun stuff. The poll drops on Thursday. You can vote on that all throughout the entire weekend. Please remember that as well. Love to hear a rating and review from any of you folks for 5 years. Happy birthday to Take Two Podcast, episode 260. Have a great night, everybody.